all of a sudden, I'm not defending Nigeria. I don't have strong views in Nigeria, but Nigeria has become famous in the last week as a country in which there's Christian persecution going on. I think there's been a lot of conflict between Muslims and Christians in Nigeria for, my whole life. But all of a sudden, it's a kind of centerpiece of the conversation. What is the truth? You've been in and out of Nigeria for how long?
50 years.
50 years, 1975. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's a long time. So you know Nigeria pretty well.
I do.
What is the truth about what's going on?
Well,
and I ask because you've got credibility. You know the country, and you're spending the rest of your life defending Christians around the world. Tell me what the actual truth of Christian persecution in Nigeria is.
Well, let's be very clear that the Nigerian government is populated by Christians and Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
I have represented in his earlier life the national security advisor of Nigeria when he was a young man, and he's a lovely individual. And caring and universally respected in terms of religious issues. Devout Muslim, but universally respected. In my adopted family in Lagos,
mm-hmm.
the Odesanya family sort of adopted me when I was a very, very young man, and living there. I sort of have a half brother there, Dapo Odesanya. That family is a totally integrated family, Muslim, Christian. I was always teased that I was a Yoruba, which is a Jewish Yoruba. But I mean, there have always been tribal conflict. I spoke to the foreign minister before I came here because I wanted to get clarity on the government's position. Absolutely, let's be clear, President Tinubu's wife is a Christian pastor. This is not targeted at Christians. There are probably an equal or more number of Muslim deaths. I am grateful to President Trump for identifying these attacks on Christians. Believe it or not, you can blame some of this on the French, who had this.
I do. I know nothing about it, but I believe you anyway.
They had a massive force in the Sahel. They armed the Tuaregs, which are a notoriously aggressive tribal group. That arming has led to mass killings of Christians. The fact that when Libya blew apart, a massive amount of arms went down to Boko Haram can't be denied by anyone. Nigeria wants to consult with the United States. Nigeria wants assistance in protecting Christians and Muslims, protecting their populations. Nigeria feels it has not had a fair shake from Washington. And I'm not, I don't work for Nigeria. I'm not going to go on and on. The foreign minister is a close friend who I respect deeply. But I can tell you from my work, I was privileged to represent one of the Nigerian states years ago, Akwa Ibom. We won a case actually for them. The Nigerians would welcome American assistance with open arms. So this is unlike Ukraine, which is destroying its church, or Armenia, which is destroying its church. Here you have a government that wants to protect its populace, doesn't have the resources. Nobody's going to deny Nigeria's been racked by corruption all the years I've known it. But they want a new deal, a new relationship with Washington, and in part to assist them in protecting Christians. So when I read some of what I've been reading, I'm never going to say that Ted Cruz isn't a brilliant man. But I'm going to say I might have a little more time in Nigeria than he does. And I would welcome him to speak to the foreign minister or others. Because one thing America doesn't need are more enemies. Africa is the future. I have said it time and time again. I'm privileged to be counsel to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. My firm has spent many years. We're still trying to defend the opposition leader of Tanzania, Tundu Lissu, who's been illegally jailed. 1,000 are dead protesting completely bogus, fraudulent elections. And to the credit of the United States, at least in the Senate, they've spoken out Foreign Relations Committee has spoken out. We need our administration, and we certainly need the EU to stop funding this grotesque government in Tanzania. But we have to stop looking at Africa as a security concern alone, and we have to recognize that between their minerals and between the entrepreneurial spirit, Nigerian lawyers are as good or better than American lawyers or British lawyers. I mean, there is an incredible infrastructure of intelligence in Nigeria that we don't know anything about. All we try to do is sanction and condemn. It is a horrible, horrible part of our policy that we sanction the hell out of everybody. We are responsible for the consolidation of power in Moscow under Putin. If we were not sanctioning the hell out of all these people who had moved to Europe, who knows whether Putin would still be in power?
Exactly. No, that's the truth. I know. It's so counterproductive that it's got to be part of some sort of larger strategy that I'm too dumb to understand, because it's achieving the opposite of the intended result.
Well, and let me tell you, I'm working in Iraq against Iranian interests. We have a woman, Sarah Salim, who is an American citizen, bravely, incredibly bravely, defending her interests and those of the Kurdish in the north. And you know, the Kurds are going to have an election soon. She's defending their interests against a wildly corrupt chief justice named Zaidan, who is actually an instrument of Iran. And there have been a complete reversal of her fortunes before the courts because of corruption against a group called the Hanna Brothers. And when we've gone to the U.S. Embassy for help, this is an American citizen who, by the way, was kidnapped and tortured 10 years ago and has been fighting for her redemption and for compensation against al-Maliki and Zaidan and others. Our embassy pledges neutrality, does not help this brave American citizen.
How can they not help an American?
Listen, we cannot understand it, especially in a moment where the future of Iraq, which is massively important to the United States, is at risk. I mean, there's an election coming up in Iraq as well, and the oil wealth of that country is almost unimaginable. And the issue is whether the Iraqi militia will disarm, whether, in fact, the government that we not only have spent billions to support, but we lost almost 5,000 lives, whether that government will be a government somewhat free of the corruption and control of Iran.
Yeah.
And our government's been impotent. There's a few people in Congress who have spoken out, and bless them for doing that. But very few people have paid Iraq any thought at all. And yet we over-concentrate on Ukraine to the exclusion of almost everything else.
Streaming November 16th on Paramount Plus, it is the return of Landman, a product of the co-creator of Yellowstone, this show's television's biggest phenomenon, and for good reason. Academy Award winner Billy Bob Thornton is back as Tommy Norris and managing higher stakes than ever before, featuring a loaded cast, including Academy Award nominees Demi Moore, Andy Garcia, Sam Elliott. Landman is pretty exciting for a TV show, honestly. In the wake of his former boss's passing, tensions come to a head as Tommy and Demi Moore's Cammie Miller struggle to maintain control of MTEX Oil, the company at the center of the drama. And with his father coming back into his life, Tommy must juggle both his role as an oil man and a family man as worlds collide. A familiar story, but never better told than in this hit series. A lot of people are watching this, and for good reason. Landman, new season streaming November 16th, only on Paramount Plus. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.